For decades, there's been one playbook for B2B sales: solution selling. You know the drill. Find a customer's problem and then sell them the solution. Sounds simple, right? Well, what if I told you that entire playbook is, well, it's broken? Today, we're going to dive into why the old rules just don't work anymore, and more importantly, what's risen up to take their place.
And look, this isn't just my opinion. This whole idea comes from some really extensive research, first published in the Harvard Business Review. They studied thousands of sales professionals to figure out what really separates the top performers from everyone else in this new world of sales.
So, let's get right to the heart of the problem. This one sentence from the research just nails it. Think about it. With all the information in the world at their fingertips, customers are way more educated than they've ever been. They can figure out their own problems and research their own solutions a lot of the time before a salesperson even gets a call. So, how much of the buying process do they handle on their own? A ton. This research found that customers complete, on average, almost 60% of their purchasing decision. We're talking researching solutions, ranking their options, setting their own requirements, all before they even think about talking to a supplier. So by the time your phone rings, they're pretty sure they already know exactly what they need.
Okay, so if the old way of doing things is broken, what actually works now? To figure that out, the researchers analyzed thousands and thousands of sales reps, and they discovered that you can pretty much sort them into 5 distinct profiles.
And here they are. You've got the hard worker, the one who's always going the extra mile. Then there's the challenger, who just loves to debate and really push their customers' thinking. Of course, you have the relationship builder, the classic profile, focused on making strong personal connections. The lone wolf, who kind of does things their own way. And finally, the reactive problem solver, who is all about customer service and getting the details right. All right, take a good look at that list. For the last 20 years or so, pretty much all sales training has been pushing us to be one of these, the relationship builder. I mean, it makes sense, right? Build trust, get close to your customer, and they'll buy from you. But is that what the data actually shows?
Nope, not even close. The results just completely flip conventional wisdom on its head. The challenger is the absolute star of the show, making up a whopping 39% of all top performers. And the relationship builder? Dead last, a tiny 7%. It turns out, in the complex world of B2B sales, being liked and being effective are two very different things.
So, what is it about the challenger? What makes them so incredibly successful in this new environment? Let's break down their secret sauce. See, unlike other reps who are all about building rapport or solving problems that already exist, the challenger's main goal is to teach. They use their unique understanding of a customer's industry to completely reframe how that customer sees their own business. And in doing so, they reveal a need the customer didn't even realize they had.
Their whole method really boils down to 3 key skills. First, they teach for differentiation. They bring a totally unique, sometimes even disruptive perspective to the table. Second, they tailor for resonance. This means they make sure their message hits home by connecting it directly to the goals and worries of the specific person they're talking to. And finally, they take control of the sale. They're not afraid to talk about money, and they're comfortable pushing back on a customer's assumptions.
Now, this challenger approach, it's not just a personality type, it's a whole new strategy. Let's look at how this actually plays out in what the researchers have called insight selling.
This is the big shift right here. Solution selling is all about listening. You ask a bunch of questions to figure out what the customer thinks they need. But insight selling, that's about teaching. You use your expertise to show the customer a problem or an opportunity they've been missing. You're not finding the need, you're creating it.
And this changes the entire conversation. A traditional rep goes after customers who already know what they want. A challenger, on the other hand, targets customers who are in a state of change or uncertainty. A traditional rep kicks things off by asking questions. A challenger starts by offering a provocative insight. They don't just ask the customer how to get a deal done, they actually coach the customer on how to buy.
But how you sell is only half the battle. The research also found that with today's big buying committees, who you sell to inside that organization is every bit as critical to your success.
Inside any big company, you're going to find a whole cast of characters. You've got the go-getters, always on the lookout for good ideas. The skeptics, who question everything. The climbers, who are really just focused on their own careers. And then, of course, the people we all naturally gravitate towards. The friends and the guides, the ones who are easy to talk to and happy to share info.
But here's another one of those findings that just might surprise you. Those super friendly contacts, the ones the research calls talkers, are actually your least effective partners in a complex sale.
Yeah, they're great for a chat, but they just don't have the influence or the drive to push a disruptive idea through their own company.
So who should you be looking for? The challenger's perfect partner is what the researchers call a mobilizer. These are your go-getters, your teachers, and even your skeptics. These folks aren't just talkers, they're doers. They're all about driving real change for the good of the company, and they have the clout to get others on board. Finding and empowering that person, that's the key.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important shift in mindset. If you want to really embrace the challenger model, you have to fundamentally change what you're trying to achieve in every single sales conversation.
It really all boils down to this. Your job description has changed. You're no longer a detective trying to uncover needs that are already there. You are now a teacher, using your insight to create a new understanding for your customer, and with it, a new need that only your unique solution can truly satisfy.
I love this quote because it just perfectly highlights the difference. Average reps show up and ask things like, "So, what are your buying criteria?" Or, "Who else needs to sign off on this?" They're essentially asking the customer to coach them. A challenger shows up and says, "Here's why your current thinking is flawed, and here's the framework you should be using to make this decision." They coach the customer.
In a world where our customers are drowning in information but absolutely starved for real insight, the path to becoming a top performer is actually crystal clear. It's not about being liked, it's about being valuable. And that really leaves us all with a big question to think about. Is your sales approach designed to challenge your customers' thinking or just to agree with it? The answer could change everything.